people of the internet. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. I should do a whole video just me blowing smoke into the mic for like 30 minutes. I think I would be high for the whole week at that point. Or like a virtual smoke session video. That would be cool. I feel like this channel needs a good filler episode that's not scary or creepy, just so you can detox your brain, you know? That sounds healthy. But anywho, before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And if you have your own spooky, scary, unsettling story, or anything that you would like me to read in a future video, make sure to email this email right here, which is also available in the description down below, as well as my social medias. If you want to give me a follow on there, I like to think I'm an interesting person. So, what are some creepy historical facts? When French revolutionary Maximilien Robespierre realized he was about to be executed, he attempted suicide by shooting himself in the mouth. He was unsuccessful, and when they took him to the guillotine, the executioner ripped off the bandage holding his wounded jaw together, causing him to scream in agony before the crowd until he was silenced by the blade of the guillotine. Someone commented, "Fun fact, the guillotine didn't always work the first time." I have heard that fact before. The next one says, there was this one fortress in Russia that the Germans were assaulting during World War I, and the Germans knew that the Russians didn't have gas masks, so they gassed the place up, 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 up. When the Germans thought the Russians were all dead, they went inside, but were attacked by surviving Russians that looked like zombies with their faces torn off and distorted by the gas, as well as cloth covering parts of their bodies. So the Germans retreated out of fear. When the Portland-class heavy cruiser USS Indianapolis was torpedoed by the submarine I-58, the sailors that survived were left adrift in the Pacific Ocean for several days, and hundreds died from dehydration, hypernatremia, hypothermia, delirium, and shark attacks. Of the 895 men that survived the initial sinking, just 316 survived to be rescued. The captain's story in the aftermath was also a sad one. The Navy attempted to court-martial him for the sinking, as they asserted he had failed to zigzag. But this was later proven to have been irrelevant, and there was evidence the Navy had put the ship in harm's way by failing to report submarines in the area, not providing an escort, and taking 4 days to rescue survivors despite three whole SOS signals being received. Though his sentence was remitted, some families of the dead men still blamed him and would harass him for years, sending him mail with messages such as, "Merry Christmas, our family holiday would have been a lot merrier if you hadn't killed my son," and he was burdened with guilt for the rest of his life. 23 years later, he committed suicide, his standard issue revolver in one hand and a toy soldier in the other, all because the U.S. Navy screwed up and needed a fall guy. That's so sad. The first comment says it took a 12-year-old from Florida to eventually clear his name. In 1905, French physician Dr. Gabriel B, because I'm not about to butcher that last name, Dr. B witnessed the beheading of a man named Lenquil by guillotine. After he wrote, "Here is what I was able to note immediately after the decapitation. The eyelids and lips of the guillotine man worked in irregularly rhythmic contractions for about 5 or 6 seconds. I waited several seconds. The spasmodic movements ceased. The face face relaxed, the lids half closed on the eyeballs, leaving only the white of the conjunctiva. I think I'm saying that right. It's fun to say. Leaving only the white of the conjunctiva visible, exactly as in the dying whom we have occasion to see every day in the exercise of our profession, or as those just dead. It was then that I called in a strong, sharp voice, "Lingual." I saw the eyelids slowly lift up, without any spasmodic contractions. Next, Lingual's eyes very definitely fixed themselves on mine, and the pupils focused themselves. I was not, then, dealing with the sort of vague, dull look without any expression that can be observed any day in dying people to whom one speaks. I was dealing with undeniably living eyes, which were looking at me. Oh my goodness. I don't know. It seems very legit to me because he probably still had enough blood in his system for brain function. So, I'm vomiting to myself. The Great Cat Massacre in Paris in the 1730s, when cats were killed. This was a thing. Apparently, everyone found it hilarious. Apparently, everybody found it hilarious. And they even threw mock trials for the supposed crimes the cats had committed. The event was part of a revolt and is seen as incredibly morbid nowadays. I wish I could unread that. I don't know why this just reminded me of this one time my ex-boyfriend and I were like talking about movies and we somehow got on the topic of I Am Legend with Will Smith. Yes, we're all thinking about that one scene right now, and that's what I'm getting to. I think we all collectively as a society cried when Sam dies. Spoiler alert. But we've all seen the movie. It came out in 2007. We were all collectively not okay. But this man's told me that he laughed. Him and his friends laughed. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is why we broke up. Just kidding. I think this dark history fact reminded me of that moment because, I don't know, it's giving the same energy. Henry oh fuck, it's a Roman numeral. I think that's 8. Here we go, I'm looking it up. It's 8. Hey, what's up? I'm a Virgo and I love being right. Henry VIII married Catherine Howard when he was 50 and she was around 17. She was younger than Mary the First was at the time and not much older than Elizabeth the First. He married a girl young enough to be his child, and the poor girl endured horrible things her whole life and was killed for that. She was only 18 to 19 at the oldest. The saddest thing is, there isn't much recorded about her except for that and a few other small details. Somebody commented, "I'm so glad you pointed out that she was abused. I've even heard historians describe her as a silly, excited girl who had boyfriends and affairs. But absolutely, it would be considered grooming and abuse today." The next one says, "There used to be a form of execution called brass bull, where someone would be locked inside a hollow statue of a bull made of brass. They would light a fire under the bull, and the person would be burnt alive by the scorching metal. In the bull's head, there was a special kind of horn that made the victims scream." Sounds similar to a bull. Okay, I knew about this type of torture / execution method, but I did not know the last part, that it sounded similar to a bull when they screamed. We still don't know the identity of the butcher of Kingsbury Run, also known as the Cleveland torso murderer, who terrorized Cleveland's 3rd Ward in the 1930s. And because he was so good at dismembering his victims, only 2 of them out of at least 13 have been identified either. Dr. Francis E. Sweeney is the lead suspect. They couldn't touch him. He was related to a powerful senator. While never being officially charged, he is sailors survived the sinking of USS West Virginia at Pearl Harbor, only to die 16 days later due to the lack of air. The Navy knew they were there, but couldn't get to them. Imagine being a sailor stationed on a wreckage, hearing them bang out Morse code on the hull, knowing that you couldn't do anything. They ended up trapped in a storeroom that had food, water, and flashlights. They ended up suffocating because the air ran out. A lady who convinced everyone she was giving birth to animals. Eventually, it turned out she had miscarried and was stuffing rabbits, etc. into herself, and then pretending to give birth. Wait, what the fuck? Apparently her name is Mary Toft. T-O-F-D. Katyn massacre. Soviets executed 21,000 Polish soldiers, cops, and border guards. Their families, 60k people which were there, were sent to Kazakhstan. POWs were brought to the forest, died, and shot in the head from behind. Corpses were falling to ditches. After the job, Soviet command decided to plant forests in place of executions to make them harder to find. When Polish government in exile asked Stalin what happened to the POWs, he said, "I don't know, they probably escaped to Manchuria." Germans discovered it in 1943, which made Poles break diplomatic relations with the USSR. During the executions, NKVD officers used German pistols to blame Nazis. During the 1918 flu pandemic, also known as the Spanish flu, the symptoms were horrible. Your lungs would get holes in it, not allowing the patients to breathe, killing him or her. Your skin would turn blue because of lack of oxygen, and when nurses moved the body, there would be a cracking noise from the body. Graves would hold about 8 bodies in them because of how much death there were. Graves were able to hold 8 bodies in them because of how much death was happening. There are more deaths during the 1918 flu pandemic than both World War I and World War II combined. Someone commented, bonus fact, it was called the Spanish flu because Spain was the only country that reported the death toll accurately, as they were not under wartime censorship, having remained neutral. And then another Redditor commented, another bonus fact is that the only country that didn't have any cases was American Samoa until 1920, when the virus was already weak. The Black Dahlia case and the Zodiac case, and the fact that the killers have never been caught. Palua, Georgia, Dan left a bloody and horrific legacy and is considered the mother of modern adoption. I hardly, if ever, see it mentioned in these threads. It's worth knowing. She was a child trafficker who operated the Tennessee Children's Home Society, which was an adoption agency in Memphis, Tennessee. Dan used an unlicensed home as the front of her black market baby adoption scheme from the 1920s. Young children were kidnapped and then sold to wealthy families, abused, or in some instances, murdered. A state investigation into numerous incidences of adoption fraud led to the closure of the institution in 1950. Dan died of cancer before the investigation made its findings public. Dan's custom of placing children with influential members of society normalized adoption in the U.S. Benjamin Franklin had bodies in his basement. Someone commented that this one's actually true, but it's not as bad as it sounds, and I'm like, what do you mean? After the Edmund Fitzgerald sank, the searchers never found the bodies of the sailors because Lake Superior is too cold for bacteria to grow. Without the bacteria, there wasn't enough gas to lift the bodies to the surface. I don't remember the year, but a group of Argentinians and Nicaraguan rugby players were traveling on a plane when it exploded and crashed on the Andes mountain range. They spent 3 months on the crash site. The creepy part is that when the rations of bread and chocolate ran out, they started eating the dead bodies of their friends. And to make matters creepier, the guy who had little knowledge about medicine recommended what were the best parts to eat raw. Honestly, this isn't creepy. It's just really fucking sad. Like, you're so hungry that your only options are to either eat your dead friend or join him. I don't even want to imagine that. But there is a movie based on this called Alive. Alive, if you're interested. Edgar Allan Poe married his cousin. Hitler had one testicle. Nicolas Cage almost played Superman. And Elvis met his wife when she was 14. The entirety of what happened to Roanoke. Thomas Jefferson owned 600 plus slaves and impregnated a lot of them, enslaving his own children with them to save money, and is still idolized and on the face of currency today. He had children with one of his slaves named Sally Hemings. She was the half-sister of his deceased wife. The Stanford prison experiment. Yeah, that was bad. Bones from 16 different people in the basement of one of Benjamin Franklin's old homes. Why? Somebody, I'll search it, but like, if somebody also wants to comment what the fuck is going on at Benjamin Franklin's house, or what did go on, let your girl know. Disneyland's famous Pirates of the Caribbean ride used real skeletons. The engineer from Disney took one look at the fake skeletons that were initially bought in and thought that they weren't creepy enough. This might be because prosthetics in the 1960s weren't as convincing as they are now. To offer a more authentic experience, Disney engineers enlisted the help of the University of California, Los Angeles Anatomy Department for real skeletons. Gradually, they replaced these real skeletons with fake ones, but many believe that real skeletons remain in the attraction. Rainbow Valley. There is an accidental graveyard called Rainbow Valley on Mount Everest. It got its name from multicolored jackets and climbing gear attached to numerous corpses littered along the hillside. People sinking to climb Mount Everest have to pass these colorful corpses on the way to the top. Over time, the mummified bodies have become goalposts for the would-be climbers. The baby farmer, so Minnie Dean, also known as the baby farmer, is the only woman to receive the death penalty in New Zealand. To make ends meet, she used to take in unwanted babies, many of whom either got mysteriously sick and died, or went missing. Eventually, after a police investigation, it was discovered she had killed them and put their remains in hat boxes. She was found guilty of an infanticide and hanged. While on an expedition into Africa during the late 19th century, James Jameson, heir to Jameson Irish Whiskey Empire, reportedly asked to witness cannibalism in action. In order to make his horrifying desire a reality, he purchased a slave girl and handed her over to a man who murdered her and feasted on her flesh. Jameson is said to have sketched out the gruesome scene, later turning his rough illustrations into a series of watercolors. Wow, that's some whiskey business. Raymond Robinson, also known as the Green Man, lost his face as a young boy due to an electrical accident. He somehow managed to live to the age of 74 despite having no eyes, no mouth, nose, and only one ear. His severe disfigurement meant he stayed inside during the day, but his habit of going for long nighttime walks made him into an urban legend. Last one. There was a woman in Kentucky by the name of Octavia Hatcher. After losing her infant son, she fell into a depression and eventually became ill with a sickness that resulted in a coma and her being pronounced dead. Over the course of the next the same illness, and her coffin was dug up, but it was too late. Octavia had been buried alive, and when they opened the casket, they found the lining of the lid torn from Octavia's bloody nails as she attempted to claw her way out. She eventually died of oxygen deprivation, and a life-size monument was erected above her grave.